I loved it. The random like character developments and new characters that they introduced were very necessary, and there were some twists that oh dear, sorry, I heard myself twice. And
Oh,
like the random character twists, it was some of the things were very unseen and unexpected, and that was my favorite part. I like when it catches me off guard.
Nice.
I'm sorry, just to dive into technical stuff. I didn't hear myself come through, and I just heard Erika out of nowhere. Why am I coming through on the stream?
You see?
you should be.
Oh, yep, I hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sorry.
We're
All
good.
right.
Okay.
Just checking.
Yes. No.
This is the
Before we get too
joy
deep
of
into it.
live
Haha. Production.
podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Producer Dan, what'd you think of this? What'd you think of this season?
I very much enjoyed the season 3 of The Boys. I have been watching the show since it came out. It was something that I wasn't expecting to like, and then immediately was like, it did that thing where it was like, wow, holy crap, this show just like smacks you on the side of the head with unexpected, crazy, awful, beautiful things that happen.
That's a great way to
And
say that.
yeah, one of the things about The Boys that drives me a little crazy is it makes me incredibly anxious when I watch it, which normally makes me not watch a show when I get anxious. But for some reason, The Boys doesn't make me stop watching it when I get anxious from it. It's weird. I get this weird sense of anxiety, but I can't not pay attention and see what's happening. And like, I need to know who's behind what's happening and like what's going to happen when this character shows up and when this gets to this point and like how long can they keep Homelander like under control before he just goes nuclear.
Crazy.
Yeah. So overall, I'm very pleased with season 3. Uh, there was a few points that I was like, I wish they could have done something a little different with that. But
I think I know what point
ultimately,
you're talking about too.
yeah, we'll save it when we get into like the spoiler zone.
Spoilers.
We can start going a little deeper into that. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Thanks, Dan. Maria, how are you feeling about this season?
I like it. I like that it comes out of the park swinging. You know,
Yeah.
like I was a little reluctant after the finishing of season 2. I was a little reluctant after seeing the trailer of where this was going to go. Not going into spoiler territory right now, but just I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. I think it's going to ruin it, but it just seems to be one of those shows that just keeps knocking it out of the park each more by just being even more offensive, not and even more just wild. I mean, it's not an offensive show, but you know, it leaves you guessing. So yeah, I've been really enjoying it. So it's one of my favorite shows now. It's one of my must watches. So
Yep.
Dan recommended it to me, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, especially where you were complaining about superhero stuff, right? And I was
I
like, you should
don't
watch
like
The Boys. And you're like, but I
superheroes.
don't like superheroes. And I'm like, but
Yeah, because I just get totally washed out with MCU stuff. I don't like superhero things. I find them
Erica's like,
cheesy and
"Ugh."
campy, and just. But then Dan was like, "No, no, no, this is completely up your street," and I'm like,
Shame.
all right, let me see it." So, yeah, good shit.
I agree. Yeah, a lot of people who don't like superhero stuff love this because it's so anti-hero.
Dan, will you give the pitch to my girlfriend, because I was unsuccessful in trying to be like, no, it's not. I know we're all tired of superheroes. Most of us, and it just
Maria, do you remember
couldn't
what I
budge.
told you? I'm trying to remember exactly how I summed it up as far as like it's superheroes, but it's like the worst case scenario of if we had superheroes, and
Yeah.
it's legit regular people with superpowers, but no moral compass whatsoever. So
Yeah.
That's a good way. Yeah.
She stopped paying attention at it's superheroes. Didn't give me a chance to be like, but
So
no, it's different.
so change it. Try to say it's people,
It's people, yeah,
with superpowers and
And
no
no moral compass.
exactly.
no.
Bloody, gory.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
have that
I-
righteous like Superman, like purely, arrow to the north, good.
I don't think there's anyone that's actually like truly good. Even Huey.
You know, this is actually exactly how superheroes would be, though.
Oh,
You know,
which is
100%.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is I think this is why I like it, is because
Yeah.
Like they always make those jokes in these MCU movies that a superhero picks up someone's car and throws it across the street, and you're like, "That's someone's car. You blew up a building. You probably killed about 100 people." And
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh,
And
I'm a
that car
hero."
probably landed on somebody's car who's
Right.
also perfectly fine.
So that's
I
kind of
think
what the
about the
great thing.
insurance stuff all the time.
Well, that's
I
the good thing
always
about The Boys is because you are like, there's consequences to your actions.
I always think about the collateral damage that they show where it's like when you're watching a DC cartoon or any cartoon with superheroes in it, and usually if there's anything where like a villain will show up and they start causing chaos and there's explosions and there's gunfire, but that gunfire never seems to hit anybody.
Hmm.
The explosions never seem to kill anybody. If
Uh-huh.
if people get in the way, the hero saves them at the last second. If someone does get shot or hit by something, they usually get like a scorch mark and they
Mm,
fall down. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess they're dead, maybe.
yeah.
But the boys takes all of that away and shows you what would really happen in real life if any of this shit were real.
Love it.
Yeah,
I
one-
can't
no.
wait to get into spoiler territory because I'm just sitting here like holding my tongue.
Yeah, so for the people at home, that's still going on right now. We're trying to just give surface level appearances or impressions, pardon. If you are just joining us now, yeah, I'm just gonna say that it continues to cat butt. It continues to cat butt, and it continues to you know
cat butt.
to cat butt to mess with to fuck. I can't speak. I don't. What am I trying to say?
Cat,
You
get
know,
yourself
it's
together.
oh, you guys got to stop saying cat butt.
Cat butt
I can't help it. There's a fluffy little kitten.
is going to
Get the fuck
increasingly
outta
get
here.
into spoiler territory as we proceed through this podcast.
No, but I'm
There
trying
you
to give
go.
my impressions that I didn't get a chance to say.
Yeah.
Is all I'm trying to say is that it keeps messing
Let's
with
do
what
it.
your expectations of where superhero
Like the
shows
subverting
go.
expectations.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a Dan, you saying anxiety is something that sticks with me too, because you're very rarely like at the end of an episode and being like, oh yeah, all right, good job you guys, on to the
Yeah.
next one, merry gang of gentlemen.
Gentlemen.
Yeah. So I feel like it's taken something out of me watching like 2 seasons in the last like week and a half, 2 weeks now. Because it just is a lot. It's a lot on the brain. But if anyone has anything else they would like to say without spoilering, I'm ready to smack that
Forever hold
spoiler
your
alarm.
peace.
And
smack
yeah, and so
I
yeah.
can just say that Carl Urban can do whatever the fuck he wants,
Uh-huh.
except the
To
Cockney
me.
accent.
No, he can't
Because
pull it off.
it's he can a little bit, but it's a little over the top. It's a little too much. It's like, oh what governor in it. You're like, no one talks like that.
yeah, but I don't know that, so I love it.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I
We
do.
don't know.
I do know that.
But she
So,
does.
Okay, fair.
It's
fair.
hyperbole.
It's a little strong. It's the Hollywood Cockney accent. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a little bit.
The
Oh, what,
dramatic
bacon and eggs,
accent.
mate, geezer. It's like no one talks
He
like
just
that.
has to say "cunt." Like
You
with a
cunt.
a lot of
We're gonna get
emphasis.
demonetized, you guys.
Yes.
Anyway, that's my
Well,
only
We're talking
gripe.
about the boys, so
Yeah.
I
That's-
expect. Yeah.
Context doesn't matter in that one. Yeah, he can do no wrong. He can do no wrong.
spoiler button.
Yep. Get out of here. If you haven't seen it and you want to remain unspoilered,
spoiler.
get the F out. But
That's
thanks
a
for
big
being here.
thing.
So that being said,
Oh, alrighty.
yeah, take us away.
The first 10 minutes of season 3 was the worst of it all. Like, I feel like it was worse than Herogasm.
I don't think Herogasm was all that bad.
Herogasm
No, I
was
don't think
not
so.
as bad as they said
You
it was
played
going
it up
to be.
so bad in our
Yeah.
Discord.
I was terrified
You
because
ca-
it was all
Hmm.
hyped up, and then when I saw it, I was like, it was disgusting, but it was not as bad as I was expecting.
It really wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't.
But
No,
like,
I've seen worse.
It's an orgy. That's all.
it's a giant orgy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the director had like an ADR cameo in it too. He played somebody in the background. But I want to talk first actually about my biggest disappointment with the season.
All right.
and that was Starlight.
Hmm.
I had several issues with her character. Um, Especially when it comes to the trope of like, don't go when Huey's going to try to get um Soldier Boy and get everything together and kill Homelander, and she's like, "Don't go, stay with me." And I'm like, "You know what he's gonna pick, and you know what he's gonna do. Don't make him do that. That's stupid." Um, and then the finale, the finale. She got all this power, this light. She thought she was gonna do something epic, and she just knocked down Soldier Boy and then fell to the ground.
She got to
Yeah.
That was the
fly.
biggest disappointment of the whole season. Was her just pushing him off his feet with this massive amount of power. I was expecting something great,
I
and
find
nothing
with
happened.
Starlight is like she's great. She's a great character, but out of all
Great
of the rest of
character.
them that have these amazing, like disastrous powers, she has just like, oh, I get a little sparkly.
I can shatter light.
And you're like, I'm
She's
a Twilight
Jubilee
vampire.
from the X-Men cartoons.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just like,
That
all
part
right.
just annoyed me so much.
Yeah.
I was
Good
like, oh
character.
man, this is gonna be great. And then I was like, oh, Kimiko did more.
Mm.
She's my favorite character, Kimiko.
I like that at least they use that specific scene of her gathering all that power just for Huey to have his little bit of redemption,
That's true.
because he's the one that was maybe going to take the temporary V and get his
Yep.
powers back. And then decides like, no, I can use my superpower right here and turn the lights on up for
I
her.
love
So,
Huey.
me
love
too.
him.
I don't know how he, in my opinion, has come so far. Like he steals the scene for me every, like
Yeah.
I think it's Jack Quaid, right? That's
Yep.
yeah. He is phenomenal. It's hard to like put that into words for me, like why I like him so much, if anyone can help. But like
It's his charisma.
He's very
it's just,
relatable.
yeah, exactly. He's just the
relatable.
everyman.
I was
He's
gonna
just
say he is the everyman.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Jack Quaid himself is just such a hilarious, like, awesome guy. And I just love him. He's fantastic. He was just in the newest Scream movie. It was great.
I think that's what makes the boys so kind of relatable as well, is because the characters are someone you can identify with. Like Huey, he doesn't pretend to be big and strong. He's just kind of like, I'm just hanging around along for the ride. None of them are like, oh, I'm this big character. Even Butcher is someone you would meet in the street, even with a shit accent. I mean,
That's true.
he's he's like, all right, mate. I mean, I know plenty of people like him, so it's not beyond the realms. And I think that's what it is like they're in a superhero world, but they're normal people in a superhero world.
Yeah.
So you're like, I can get that. Yeah. So
I enjoyed how many butts we saw this season.
it was a lot of butts.
It was a lot of
Yeah.
butts.
All the
It was
butts.
good.
it never stopped being funny to me anytime that Huey would use his power and he
Yeah.
would like teleport
He's
somebody
naked.
else too, and like especially what was the
With Starlight.
with Starlight, but the member of Butcher gets knocked out by the guy and he
Right,
goes into some
the
Oh.
dreamland.
mental dude.
Yeah, that was
Right.
part of Soldier Boy's
Yeah.
team. And their reaction, he's like, we can put some clothes on. Like, hold on, calm down.
Just a second. I'll make you more
Yeah.
comfortable.
We don't have to do this naked.
That was fantastic. That when Soldier Boy killed that member of his team was exactly what like the Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier show wanted to do with the shield when he killed him like that in the show. And the boys kind of did the exact same thing, but like way, way over the top, and it was fantastic. Smashing him with the shield. And then Huey tried to pick up the shield at one point, and he's like, he can't even pick it up.
Like, oh shit.
And then Soldier Boy just comes in, just picks it up like it's nothing. I love those types of comparisons because it
Mm.
makes it feel more real.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the show.
No, it's great they were able to use, like that's not something that Marvel could do. So like Amazon,
Exactly.
you just
And
yeah,
they're
go
like,
ahead. Smash
Mhm.
that man's head with
can do it.
that shield. Go ahead. Yeah. Don't
Jensen
care.
Ackles is just an amazing actor. Sorry,
He's
if
good,
you hear
yeah.
loud booms, there's lots of thunder and lightning. But yeah, I absolutely love him.
Oh yeah. I
Man,
was wondering how much of a role his character was going to play in the season 2, and the more he got involved and the more you saw his character, the happier I was
yeah,
that he was there and
played
a
it
part of
so
the show.
well.
Yeah, especially when it's like he's basically Captain America, but again, without that strict
Mhm.
moral compass.
And not actually
Mm.
doing anything because he didn't do really anything to fight the Nazis. He was just kind of the poster boy. He didn't
Yeah,
actually do anything.
it actually made me think of that when they were talking about that part where he was talking about during World War II. He was like, "I was storming the beach in Normandy and da 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 da," and then he talks to his manager and he's like, "No, that shit's all made up. He just like went around and signing
That was good.
posters and doing these shows." And all I could think about was the beginning of the Captain America movie when that's what he started doing
Mhm.
in the beginning of the movie.
And then he really wanted to actually do it.
Yeah,
That was good. Oh man.
I've-
The more we talk about it, the more I think of all of these instances from the show that I love. Like Kimiko and Frenchie are my favorites. And their little dance sequence in the hospital was like the sweetest thing because all she wants to do is sing. And
I do like them.
it's
They're
so
not my most
sweet.
favorite part. I
They're
think
my
they're my
favorite
least.
pairing. They're
I think they're my
so
least
great.
favorite pairing, but I still like them.
Oh,
it
it's
caught
okay.
me off guard of that scene though because when it comes into it where she sees the girl playing the piano and she starts singing, and I'm like, when the hell could she talk and sing? And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, she's
It was a
like having
memory, or not a memory, a
she was having
fantasy.
a fantasy or a dream.
That was really sad. That like, I got really upset. I was really sad. That got me. That was really
It's not-
sad.
If I were to-
feel like- oh no, good.
I was just gonna double back on Erica's starting on Starlight and that whole scene with her like getting all swelled up with power, and then I think that was more of a character development moment, not so much her just being, is more of she was getting swelled with power and like, oh, now I can fly, and now I'm like I have all this power, but she didn't know how to use it. She didn't know what to do with it.
Mhm.
So maybe that's something for the future that she starts to like, oh, I can actually get more powerful,
Mhm.
but she didn't know she could.
That's true.
Yeah,
I
it was
wonder-
disappointing in the moment, but
I want to talk about Jake's comment. I got kind of confused at one point. I thought the V serum and such came from a Nazi scientist in World War II, but Soldier Boy was fighting the Nazis before World War II, so I wonder where he got the V from. I've heard some interesting theories actually, and this one's kind of gross. The one I just heard. So it's the timeline is with that just slightly confusing, but Stormfront was the very first, and I think it technically started before World War II and just kind of progressed throughout. But she was the first successful um, superhero, quote unquote,
super person.
super
Soup.
person.
Soup.
Yeah, that's a good. Why aren't we calling them soups? That's exactly what they're called. Was the first soup, and in an attempt to get like Soldier Boy, they probably used her eggs and something to be able to create Soldier Boy because she was so successful. And then they so in creating Stormfront to make Soldier Boy, and then using Soldier Boy as the father of Homelander, which is not in the comics and was a fantastic twist, that makes it so Homelander slept with his grandma,
Mm.
technically, or technically his mother if they used her eggs again, which I thought was the craziest theory, and I love it.
You just know that's annoying him so much, though, that he's
Uh-huh.
like, he thinks it's the best thing, and then he's like, I just fucked my grandmother.
Yeah, right. She gave me a hand up until she was lying dead dying
All
in a
crusty.
hospital.
I don't think it bothered him that much.
He definitely seemed to have a thing for moms.
Yeah,
That
so
Like
is
throughout the
true.
series.
The
Yeah.
whole like milk thing. Apparently, it
Yeah.
took him a while to film that because he just kept laughing, and it was like, "This is ridiculous." So he's just like trying to like use his tongue in the thing for like the second one, and he's just like, "I can't, can't do it."
Wait, when he gets
Finally
walked
got
in
it.
on the barn, when he like was like
That was
milking the
good
cow.
one. That was a good one. But I think this was the end of season 2. Was the first time when he took the breast milk from the fridge and drank that.
He has
That was-
mommy issues.
He's got serious mommy issues.
Yeah.
Serious mommy issues. But that was a fun theory that I heard, and I secretly hope it's true because it's.
I have to be honest
a-
with you, Erica, is I'm actually surprised that you
I
were
know.
so into this show because when we
Yeah.
first started talking about it, I was like, you're not going to like this show. It's too graphic. It's too violent. It's too sexualized. It's not your cup of tea. And you're like, I love it. And it's like,
It's so true because the reason why I felt like I was okay to watch The Voice was because I had finished. So I'd watched Game of Thrones, And I absolutely loved Game of Thrones. That was a great show up until the end, and I just like I really miss that Game of Thrones like
Mm.
commodity around the world, just the absolute love for it. I was just hunting for a show, and The Boys was there for a while. The second season was already out, and I'd been trying to find a show. I just couldn't find anything. The Boys just kept popping up, and I was like, okay, fine. We'll watch the first episode. If it's too much for me, I'll put it to the side. It was a lot.
Mm.
But for
It
some
is a lot.
reason, I could not stop watching. If like something got a bit too much, I just do skip 10 seconds when it wasn't
Wait.
like as overwhelming. But I didn't do that very often because it just kept my attention and I loved everything about it. So I was shocked, like everybody is shocked when I tell them, I love The Boys, and they're like, what? You, the most wholesome thing on the planet? I'm like, yeah, it's me. And it is. It captures you emotionally, visually, everything. It's just so well done. I could not stop watching, and I finished both the seasons a couple of months before season 3 came out, so I didn't have as much of a gap in between the seasons, which was kind of nice. It was great.
Yeah, I see Shayna in the comments saying, "I'm really glad I don't watch the show." You and
It's
like other, it's definitely not
yeah.
for everyone, and
No.
It's not.
yeah, you
Yeah.
got to have a stomach, and you
Very
got to.
bloody, very graphic, very sexual.
Very
It is
shocking. It's
10
very
out of
like
10
they
for
go
everything.
there. They don't just touch it. They go there.
Yeah. They go
Do you find
inside.
do you get numb to it though?
Deep.
I mean, like I watched like 2
Like
seasons like right after.
desensitizing.
Yeah, yeah. Like to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, by the end of the season, they do some crazy stuff. And I think if I had waited week to week, like a lot of people had to,
Mhm.
that's a little bit different than like
Binging it.
than
Binging it.
binging it. When you watch
I
3
could
hours
see
in a
that.
night.
I'm
I
sure I'm
personally
desensitized at this
didn't.
point, honestly. So
I've seen
I'm
so much
not.
stuff. Nothing shocks me. I'm just
Exactly.
like
Like these two
these
are all
two.
about the horror and the gore and all that stuff. But me, I'm like, it's a very rare thing for me to watch. So I'm not quite desensitized to it because it's not something I watch frequently.
I just appreciate a show that will go there.
Yeah.
I'm like, just do it. Just do it. I just appreciate that. So I'm just like that first
Yeah.
opening scene of the first episode with the
With
Ant-Man.
With
the
termite.
Yeah, but
termite.
Mm.
I
well,
was
I
like,
like that they
we
call
ain't-
it Ant-Man because that's what they wanted Ant-Man to do.
basically,
Was
yeah.
climb up his ass and explode, and that's literally what they did.
He just goes in his dick hole and he's just like
I was
scratching
like,
around.
oh my god, this is so
The
gross.
soup does cocaine and shrinks down and inserts himself into a different person's member, and
I
to
like that
stimulate
term.
it, little tickle,
Some tickles.
accidentally sneezes,
Would
comes
you want
out of-
someone to tickle? Wouldn't that be irritating? You just
Probably.
Like, tickling
my
your-
guess that was my reaction was like, oh, lucky. It was not that.
Like, oh,
Like,
that
no,
must
it
be
sounds,
amazing.
that sounds itchy. And he sneezes, it becomes large, and then the man is everywhere after that point. But then my favorite part is Butcher catching him in a little bag of coke
And shaking the cocaine.
shaking him.
That was fantastic.
That's like a visual that sticks out to me from that
Yeah.
season.
That was a great one. Oh, but like, Shayna, cover your ears if you don't want to hear this next part because I really want
Yeah.
to talk about
We'll
it.
give you a hand signal when it's
Yeah.
over.
Don't listen to this part. Oh my gosh, Chase Crawford just fucking octopuses everywhere. It's the most hilarious thing. I don't know why. And the fact that he's forced to eat one that he can talk to. Timothy? That was so upsetting and I was so sad and I had a really hard time watching that part.
I hate that they make such a despicable character like kind of sympathetic. Like
Yes.
he hasn't redeemed himself yet. Like
No.
you're not a good guy, but like it's the quality of the actor for you to
Yes.
just be like, oh, come on, man, you don't want to be here. Like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah.
He
Like,
just
why-
seems like the kind of guy who's just gone along for the ride but got himself
It's
in
his
far
wife.
too deep.
It's
you know?
yeah. Well, and it's his
Yeah.
wife, technically.
The
His-
the
well,
not
his-
wife, the fake
the-
wife.
Yeah, the fake wife almost, because it looks like she's convincing him. She's
Well, she's like
manipulating him.
encouraging
Oh,
him.
duh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
this stuff because she wants the spotlight. She doesn't care about the deep at all.
No,
Nobody does, except himself.
he's an idiot.
I
Yeah,
love.
and so she's the reason.
I wonder if he's gonna get canceled again, because then you see the flash of him watching the TV,
In
and
Too
she's on a
Deep.
new In Too Deep.
And
She's
he's
on a
like
talk show
shoving
floating her
like
own boat.
cupcakes in his mouth.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
hilarious.
He's just like, ah.
I think Shayna can watch now. By the way, we're
Oh yeah,
Oh.
Shayna, you're
Are you
good.
sure? Because I had a whole nother bit to
Oh,
go on
never
about
mind.
that.
oh,
So.
never mind. Go.
Never mind.
I was
Alright,
gonna
Dan,
mention the whole like the scene where he tries to get his wife in on the
Oh
three-way
gosh,
with the
She's like, I
octopus
don't
that's
want to do
blowing
that.
him.
I
She's like,
just my whole body just went.
I love the subtlety of like where they're laying in bed together. The octopus is on the deep, and he's like,
So gross.
"Yeah, you want to get in on this?" And like you see the one tentacle from the octopus like caress her leg, and
just
she's like,
no.
That's disgusting on every single level. I just like in my seat, I just went, nope.
and he's like, she says you're hot. Like, come on.
Kind of a
All
bit
I
of
could think of was like,
cross,
I'm like, octopuses have beaks.
cross pollination, but I've been watching Resident Alien as well, and there's an octopus in that, and I keep thinking it's the same octopus. It's like Nathan
Mhm.
Fillion. I'm just going like, oh no!
That poor
That's like-
octopus. It's been
I've been having
typecast.
such a hard time with that.
I'm just going like, no,
No,
Nathan,
not
don't do it.
What the wife says, I will not have, I don't know, sex with a what, and then he's like, it's a mollusk.
Yeah.
Like, I will not have sex with a fish.
So like,
not
get
a
the
fish.
terminology
First
right.
of all, she's a mollusk.
So good.
The hero gasm where he's just like caught with it on him. He's like, I think it was Mother's Milk that came in, and
It's Annie.
Oh, was it?
Mother's
Was
Milk?
it?
I don't know. Who knows?
I don't remember
Yeah.
who it was, but somebody came in and caught him, and he was just like, and then he just like carries him out in this water bag at the end. I'm just,
If we're gonna start talking about hero gasm, we gotta talk about Mother's Milk and that poor man's clothes.
oh my gosh,
That poor man's clothes
that poor
got
man.
drenched in soup sperm.
Yeah.
In splooge.
That was also.
Spectre.
I think it was on this podcast that we talked about it, like right before Hero Gasm came out, and I was like, I hope we see that guy with the penis from the other one that's like snaky
Oh, the big
looking
snake?
penis. And I was so happy when he actually came on screen and like wrapped around him, and I was like, I called it. Even though
How
I
can they
hate
not
him.
though? How can you have
Okay.
hero gasm and not have that?
It's true.
Sidebar
so
from
good.
Hero Gasm, but because that character was in the episode in season 2 when they're in like the asylum, right? Or like I don't know what we want to call that.
Yes. It's
and-
the soup hospital asylum.
In the soup
thing.
hospital, there was like a soup that like had the head popping ability that like wanders off at the end of that episode, and you just see them like in
Yeah.
a car, and they made no appearance in season 3.
That is true. I totally.
Do you remember what
forgot
I'm talking
that.
about now, though?
Yeah, because you just see them just walking away.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to
You're
go
like-
back and rewatch that one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the implication is that they're Victoria. I wrote it down, the congresswoman, but I don't think it is, because I
don't
mean,
think
like,
so.
unless that, because
Because I think
yeah,
she was.
I don't know how that would
'cause
work.
She was doing political
think
stuff
so.
during season
And
2.
she's got
I
her
think so. I
daughter,
think so.
and she's had this career.
Yeah.
Speaking of the daughter, what was that stuff? I can't tell what she was injecting into her spine
She was
Because-
injecting her with V.
because I thought she already had powers. Because
Daughter?
because when she was talking to, what's his face, her dad,
Stan.
Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stan Edgar. When she's talking to him, she's like, she could rip my spine out or like kill us both. And I was like, oh, that's a terrifying child.
Do you think there's any kind of like suppressant drug that they give them that are too powerful, where it's kind of like a tranquilizer? It's
I
like
think
maybe
it's
that
safe,
if they give them like the V, if they already have a superpower, maybe if they give it to them, it kind of suppresses them a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Like some people.
Because it looks
Maybe I
like just the
misunderstood, but
stuff
I-
that Kimiko had to get her powers back.
I thought
Mm.
she didn't have powers, but the what's her name wanted to give her powers to keep her
Yeah.
safe.
Mm.
That
Like
would
she
make
was
sense.
worried about her getting killed, so figured
So-
it's better for her to have powers to protect herself.
Yeah.
Kind
So
of thing.
maybe I just misheard what they said before, or maybe they were talking about the daughter's potential. Because
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
make sense.
Did you
because
guys
it's the exact
watch
same thing.
the Diabolical animations?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay,
haven't.
so I watched Diabolical before I started watching season 3, and there's parts in Diabolical that every time they showed someone injecting somebody with V, I'm like, "Oh god, this is gonna go terribly," because in Diabolical, it always does. That
Yeah.
whole thing is about V gone wrong, essentially. And
Interesting.
there's, like, all I could think of when the mother was doing it to the daughter, and then when Kimiko got new V, I thought,
Yeah.
"She's gonna get different
I was really
powers."
worried.
I didn't think it was gonna just give her old powers back. I thought it was gonna do something else,
Maybe it
and,
just has
like
to do with like their DNA. So it's like, hey, this was the powers you originally had. These ones fit perfectly within your DNA.
and
Because she
aside
was like,
separate
even when before she got it back, she was like, maybe it's me. I'm the monster, and my
Yeah.
powers just enhanced it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a side separate spoiler, there's one of those Diabolical episodes where a girl comes across some V and she takes it and she poops and the poop is alive. And then she can control poop with her mind. That's her whole power is controlling poop. And it's
Of course it is.
hilarious. It's one of the funniest episodes on the show. I guarantee you.
Ew.
It's hilarious. Disgusting, but hilarious.
It's
Ugh.
amazing.
So
And
does
she
that
has like
mean
a little poop
ugh,
friend that talks to
I
her.
don't even want to
Yeah.
ask.
It's like
Grossness.
South Park's Mr. Hanky, but like tenfold.
Yikes. Big
Uh,
yikes. Big no.
Does this show feel like it's like written in South Park style? I feel like in only in the way that like it
Diabolical?
feels like it. No, I'm sorry. I mean the actual like season 3. Because it just mirrors real life way too much.
That last episode. The very
Yeah,
end.
no, I don't think it's that.
No, I mean
kind
not
of-
literally. No,
yeah.
not
No.
literally. Not literally. I mean, also, this is not new stuff, unfortunately. But
It's
between
very
political,
smart, but I do feel like it mirrors a lot of stuff that's going along in the world, like right now, like with the political stuff. I noticed that with the whole part with Homelander, with he's got like his fanatical people that are following him and stuff, and it's very. I don't want to get political, but it's very reminiscent of the Trump thing a little bit. It's kind of like,
that's exactly what it is.
That's
well,
exactly
that's
what
what
exactly
I was
what it
gonna
is.
say. That reminds me of
Yeah.
that part where MM goes after his daughter's stepdad because he's brainwashed by the Homelander
Oh my
nonsense.
gosh.
That whole argument, that whole conversation, it was like I wanted to clip that and be like, "This is you people when it comes to politics, just like that. You're totally brainwashed by
There
nonsense."
was-
And then they have the bit where Homelander kills the dude in front of people, and that guy's like, "Yeah, like this is
Yeah.
No,
perfectly okay," because
there's,
he's
like,
brainwashed.
Just a little bit of you that thinks like,
Oh.
oh, maybe he's gonna see Homelander to be bad, like maybe
Yeah.
he will, and then he cheers him on. It's like a protester
This is
at a
This
Homelander rally.
And yeah,
Okay, so-
and it's part of that is kind of making me wonder that going into like season 4, if there's going to be a vigilante groups that are going to be like these groups that are
Oh,
going to be like to please Homelander, they're going to be like, oh, we can kill people as well, and Homelander will
I
be,
think so
Yeah.
because part
Yeah.
of season 4 is going to be a Hunger Games style superhero academy.
yeah.
So that's going to be incredible. But I wanted to
Isn't that a
point out.
spin-off show?
I don't. Is it a spin-off?
I think
or
it's
is
a
it
My
spin-off
Hero
show.
Academia?
I think it's a
I
spin-off show. It's going to be like college.
Is that what it
themed.
is?
I think
Okay.
so.
Mm.
Because I know about it, but I didn't know if it was what it was. But I don't remember. It was a friend of mine who told me about it. But there's this political group on Twitter that freaked out because they realized Homelander was the bad guy, and they thought he was the hero all along. And I was like,
There was no way he was the
how do
hero.
you not know? I don't understand.
This is a legit group of people watching the show that thought Homelander was the hero.
Yeah.
You
He
mean
has
with
an
the
American
man
flag.
with the flag is bad? What? Oh, I'm
Man, the
crazy.
flag is
The
bad.
crazy.
patriotic one with the
How dare they?
complete like blonde hair, blue eyes,
Very Aryan.
the Aryan race.
Yeah.
man.
Well, they've always, in regards to fanatical groups, there's always been the storm chasers. That was a thing in season 2, is like people that believed Stormfront to be right when she was a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And it would not surprise me one little bit if we have some vigilantes that rise up in season 4.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's they just mirror in
Yep.
real life, really.
Yep.
So yeah, for sure.
Taking inspiration from IRL, and I'm like, no, please stop.
Well, yeah, but
I'm
I mean, if you've got
sad.
someone who is who thrives on violence, and then his fans are like, yeah, America. Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, if I kill people, Homelander's gonna think I'm awesome, and then he's gonna promote me and stuff. And it's like, that's not. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's insane. I really loved watching little moments of Homelander breakdown.
Mm.
Like when he was in the first board meeting and the girl asked him like some logistical questions and the twitches and the anger curling in his lips. I was like,
He's so good at that.
he's
Anthony
too good.
Starr. Yeah.
Anthony Starr, oh my gosh, he's
The little,
stupidly
like,
good.
where he, like, kinda cups his lip a little bit
Yeah, he
and,
Yeah,
bites
like
the rotten.
his lips
Yeah.
get even thinner, and I'm like, ooh, he's gonna kill her.
He
I
has
Yeah.
like
was
legitimate
terrified.
rage in his face. You're just like, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
he's a
almost
great
like
actor.
subtle yet obvious his rage,
Yeah,
and the part where he's talking to kind of like himself in the mirror,
yeah.
almost like reflecting DID in a way, which I thought was interesting. I don't know much about it in the comics because the comics are apparently just like a fever dream um of just shit. Um but it's reflective in the comics that he's done that a few times and really trying to kill off his own humanity. But now that he knows he
Mhm.
actually has a biological father, that'll be a little bit of a journey for him
And a son.
and a son. That poor kid. Talk about a toxic relationship.
That brings
That
me to one
kid
of my
was
questions
sick.
I've written down. Let's
Yeah.
just to try to
Yeah,
rein it
sorry.
in a
I've
little
been
Yeah,
bit.
going
yeah.
off on just random excited
I know,
tangents.
Erica loves
And
her
I
superheroes.
understand.
Do.
No, I understand. I want to know who's going to win the custody / love of Ryan. You know, do you think it's going to be Butcher? Do you think it's going to be Homelander? Do you think it's going to be none of them? What do you think is going to be the outcome of Ryan
I
in the
think
fourth season?
Ryan is gonna take Homelander out.
That's what I was just gonna say. It's like I think
Yeah.
he's gonna have a hand in taking him down. I don't know if any of them are gonna kind of be like his savior in a way, but I think he may be convinced by Butcher and have kind of like flashbacks of when he talks about Homelander and how terrible he is, and he's gonna start singing that in real life and start getting scared.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
Ryan's
don't
just gonna become
it's
Homelander. He's
not gonna become a happy ending. It's not gonna be a,
No.
you
I
know,
think Ryan, because he is Homelander's son, will realize and have that same psychotic mentality that I am a
That's
god, I'm
possible.
not a person, people are beneath me. He's gonna lean into that shit and he's gonna become worse than Homelander.
mm,
Am I
That would
remembering
be
correctly?
cool.
Wasn't Ryan at the rally where Homelander murders someone? Because
Yeah,
like
He was
because
standing there.
he
the
sees,
kid,
yeah,
the can got thrown at the
And then he
kid.
smiles.
that's right, yeah,
Because
because
like
you
It
he's
was
see him
the
like he's like
smallest
yeah, you
little.
get that
mhm,
teeny tiny
exactly,
little smirk
Ooh,
exactly,
in the corner of his lips, and then you're like, oh, that's
that's
it.
not
Like
good.
you see it happen where he like
yeah.
yeah,
it's
which
like that
might be the
moment in God
tease
of
that
War
like
when Atreus is like, "We're guys, wow!"
Yeah,
it
and
might
it
be at
was
least the hint for us
crazy.
to go into season 4 because thinking it's going to be that way, and then we slowly have to try to rein him back from that. You know, like
Maybe.
by mid or late, then maybe things are different. But I agree. I'm sorry. I think Maria, we've all said it, but there's going to be no happy endings. So regardless of what
There's no,
happens,
no.
There is no happy
This
endings
show is
in
gonna
The
be.
Boys.
This is kind of the superhero version of Game of Thrones. It's like nobody is safe. Basically, I think they
Mhm.
are gonna just go all like they want to keep you guessing. They don't want to be like, oh, this is absolutely how it's gonna be. Like I think they were willing to kill off everybody. Basically,
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, um, like who's gonna be next because there's already issues with Huey and Butcher because they took the temporary V. Like, I don't think they're just gonna magically be healed. I was thinking at the end that they would have to have permanent V in order for them to get fast healing to save themselves. I thought that's what the ending was going to have. So I'm curious on how it's going to translate next season because their brains are still messed up.
I think you'll see side effects in Huey, but I think what we've seen is maybe he was just right on the edge and didn't go over it, and that Butcher has gone over the edge, and that's where someone's
Yeah.
going to really have to, maybe that's taking the real compound V and not the
Or
temporary
just
one,
willingness to die.
or willingness to die.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think he's the one that's going to be seriously dealing with the ramifications and not
Well,
as
that's
much.
the
I love
at the
Connor
end of
Robin.
season 3, wasn't Butcher in the hospital and they were saying he had a couple of months to live? Is that
Mhm.
product
Yeah.
of the V, or is he
Yeah.
just kind of like messed it up? So he's gonna go nuts. He's gonna be like, well, if I'm gonna die anyway, I'm just gonna go crazy.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's what I'm excited about, to see
Yeah,
him go
they
even
basically
more
said he's
nuts.
dying and he's
Yeah.
got
yeah,
a year or so to live, give or take.
yeah.
And it means either A, he's just gonna go completely off the rails and be like, well, I'm dying anyways, and I'm gonna make sure that cunt Homelander dies first.
Yep.
Or like you said, maybe he'll try to actually take real V, or just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna go all out until he and or I die,
Yeah.
knowing Butcher.
Oh, another thing that I thought of that I thought was really nice, with the new guy running for president. I forget his character's name,
Bob
but
Singer.
Bob
It's
Singer.
the same name
It's
as
the
his
same
character
name.
in
I was like, wait a second,
Supernatural.
it's his same name.
It's
But
Bobby
like,
Singer.
but like seeing him on this poster, and then Jensen's character, the Soldier Boy, walks by and he kind of like looks at it like, huh, and walks by.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love this so much.
Yeah.
I'm
The
so
little
happy
supernatural Easter eggs there.
because I was like, because the name, I was like Bobby Singer, and I was like, no, that's not his name, and I was like, wait a second, that is his name.
Hmm.
It's the
Mm.
same name.
Do
Anyways,
you
I thought
think
that was cute.
do you think Homelander will like run for president? Because I know that other woman has gone for vice president. Do you think he'll be like, I'm gonna go as well. I want to be leader of the free world, you know? Do you
I
think he'll
think
do that kind of thing?
I don't think he would, because it's restrictive, and he has no restrictions being the
That's
owner of
true.
Vought, and therefore
Yeah.
can do whatever he wants.
But I'm just thinking because the other woman is like, oh, well, I'm going to be vice president. He's going to be like, fuck
Mhm.
you, bitch. I want to be bigger than you type thing. It's like
That is possible.
it's a pissing contest, isn't it? You know?
It really is.
Yeah.
That's an
I
interesting thought.
yeah, that's I think that's definitely an interesting thought too. I think that Victoria is more likely to try to become president by popping the presidential candidate's head. Like I feel like
Mm.
that's more of the plot that might go. You know, she's running as vice president, congresswoman to vice president, and oh no, they got elect. You know, they win the election, and the vice president steps in now. So, I mean, who knows? But that's just where my mind goes.
I wonder what
It can
plans they have for Soldier Boy, because he's put back in the freezer. Therefore, there's opportunity for him to come back.
yeah.
I wonder if they'll do anything more with that new power of his, that his radiation can nullify superpowers
That was
too,
incredible.
and how that'll affect things going forward.
Too bad they didn't figure out his trigger, or they could have taken down Homelander if they just like had a tape recording and just play
Mm.
the Russian music. And he just would have went boom.
It's a sign of a really good show, though, is that when you are just kind of like, kill that fucking bastard already. You know, like he
Just
is
take him
like
down.
to get an actor to play a part so much that you are like, fucking kill him.
Again, to
Pretty
contrast
much.
Game of Thrones, when
Everyone
wanted Joffrey to die.
Joffrey!
Everybody wanted that
And that
Oh my
fucker to
gosh,
die.
fucking that other
Joffrey.
prick that got eaten by dogs. Like
Mm.
fucking kill him.
Yeah,
already. Yeah.
Ramsey. And
Because
that
I mean,
actress.
as a character, I love Homelander, not as a person, but as a character, I think he's great. But when they had him like pinned to the floor,
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, fucking do
Do
him
Like
it.
they're gonna
already.
do it.
Do
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Do it.
I hate that how much I thought that might actually even though like I
Yeah.
knew that they weren't going to do that then and there.
But
There was still just that little part that's like, oh, what if they did though?
It's just so fucking awful. You're just like, fucking kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm sure that's what the producers wanted to, for people to feel during that scene. We're like, fuck
That
him, kill that son of a bitch.
Yeah. Hey, they nailed it. They nailed it.
They did. They nailed it.
I want to know another thing here. I mean, obviously the Butcher's got, his own health issues going on, but we see in season 3, as he's taking V, the group. So the boys, for people watching, if you're not as familiar, the boys is the show, but it's also the name of the group of the anti-soup people. So the boys don't seem to be really happy with the direction that things are going with Butcher. They're like following along because they have very similar common goals and objectives, but between Huey and Butcher taking V, they're it's clearly going in different directions. Do you think that the Butcher is redeemable for that group, or who steps up to be the leader of the boys in his absence?
MM
I
would
think,
stand up to be the
but
leader.
I think Butcher. No, I think Butcher will. He's the only one that's got the balls, the
Mhm.
kahunas, to be like, let's get shit done. And so I think he would be one of those. They'll follow him, but I don't think he'll ever truly be redeemed until he's like, dead, basically. Like I think there's going to be like a sacrifice moment where he's going to be like all or nothing, and that's when they'll get behind him. But I think there's constantly going to be that rift between we
He'll
don't trust him.
redeem himself in death.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it'd be like
Probably.
a sacrifice moment where it'll be like, you
And
know, I'm going to die anyway, so I'm going to do it for you guys type thing.
and I wonder after that, the boys will split up and there won't actually be another leader. They'll realize, okay, we've done our part. Butcher's gone. Let's go try to live our lives. That's me hoping for the happy ending that Shayna was telling me that I'm trying to convince myself that there is, which is probably not going to happen.
I think the other ones have too much connection. You know, like Miko and her little friendship thing. They've got them too, and then you got Huey and Starlight have got their two. Butcher's like a freelance. He's just like, and you know, the other guy's got his kid and his daughter. Where Butcher's just
But
like,
MM
isn't going
to be happy until Soldier Boy's dead, though.
Yeah.
True.
I really loved being able to dive into his background to learn more about like his OCD and more about why the way he is. I thought that was beautifully done.
I was
really
actually
enjoyed that.
really happy that they finally gave us some backstory on Butcher and what
with
happened
his
with him
brother.
and his brother, and how him and what he went through with his dad led to his brother
Yeah.
eventually killing himself, and then he sees his brother's face in Huey.
And then punches him.
Yeah, and that leads to him saving Huey at the last minute, and like that's the first like unselfish thing Butcher's ever done over the course of this show.
It's true. Huey's realization in the car of like, oh,
He saved me.
he
He
just
actually saved me.
And I
Mhm.
love that Butcher's dad is played by the guy who plays Denethor from Lord of the Rings, the really terrible dad. It was great seeing them both coming from Lord of the Rings, and he's all playing a terrible dad again. 'Cause
You get typecasted.
Yeah, he did. Yep, Boromir's dad, Faramir's dad. It's just great casting.
I think it's more interesting that both Anthony Starr and Carl Urban were on Zenith
That's what it was. Yes, I knew they'd
Yeah.
done something together, but I couldn't remember what it was.
like ages ago when they were little kids.
They were little kids. Oh, I love going back and watching some of their older stuff and just being like, oh my gosh, they were such children,
Such babies.
such bebés.
The
It's
baby.
great.
Well,
Ugh.
I think the 7 is now the 3. So who's going to
That's
step
true.
into the shoes of the positions that are open now? Because I think we've got Homelander, we've got Deep, and we've got A-Train.
I don't think there's going to be a 7 anymore.
Or Black Noir.
Oh yeah.
Black Noir dead.
That was sad.
Poor Black Noir.
Yeah,
Poor Black Noir. Yeah.
that was sad. That poor guy.
I don't think
I
it's.
find
I
it
don't think
really
there's going to be a 7.
interesting how they played out like that history with the cartoon animated version
Yeah,
of
that
all
was
the
interesting.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that
was
and they're convincing him like, you can do this, and they're like, oh no, he's dead
No,
now.
maybe you cannot.
He'll never be
nope.
alone.
Just like the little breaks in tone with the dance routines, you know, it just was kind of a fun thing that you're like, wait, why?
Yeah.
What's happening right now? Is
Like
this
an absurdity.
is this the right
Yeah.
show?
It wasn't like it was enough that it like fit into the show, and it wasn't like
Yeah.
you know Grey's Anatomy or something, or they're just like all of a sudden doing a musical, and you're like, this does not fit the show. This is stupid. I don't watch Grey's Anatomy anymore because it's dumb. But
Agreed.
like it fit into the genre of the show.
Yeah.
And it just
Well, it's
nothing
obviously
felt
his
out of
mental
place.
state. It's not just the cartoons for the
Yeah.
sake of cartoons. It was because he was like had a very childlike mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's had
He also had a
horribly
giant
damaged.
hole in his head from Soldier Boy,
Yeah, that was intense.
which is funny because they throw you off in that flashback where you see Noir, whereas he's all fucked up and mangled, and you think it's
And you-
because of the fight that's
explosion.
happening with the army and all the soldiers and explosions and things. And then in that flashback, you learn, oh no, this was actually Soldier Boy fucked him up,
Yeah,
and that's how he got like that.
that was real sad.
It's not going to surprise me if he is really dead, but that man has been through some shit. Like, and he still keeps rolling. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, they're in the safe room in like it's like Butcher's like aunt's house or something like that.
Yeah.
He gets exploded. Like there's like they like set off bomb. I think this is season 2 that I'm remembering this. There he's tracking down Butcher and Huey, and they set a bunch of traps for him. He's just getting exploded all over the place. And the fact that they just replace A-Train's heart out of nowhere makes me think like it's not guaranteed that Black Noir is dead. It's not guaranteed that Stormfront is
Anyway.
dead. Stormfront got a death off camera.
Never trust an on,
Mhm.
and he's also got a mask on.
And he's got a mask on.
And in the comics, they can bring supes back to life.
I
They
kind
just
of don't
essentially like
like
zombies.
the idea when, like, what was it, Maeve or something that came back in the end when Soldier Boy pushed her out the window and exploded, and then she came
Yeah.
back and she was all beaten up. I'm like, just kill her. Don't
They
do that.
wanted
Bring them.
so badly to
I
give her
I
happy.
don't. Yeah, but I don't like that. I'm like, have the balls to kill people. Like,
Yeah.
you can kill them. Like, I don't want them coming back and being like, oh yeah, I just had a scratch. It's like, you got exploded, bitch. Like-
Seriously.
And she was made mortal in the process too. So how
yeah,
did
and
she
she's like, oh,
survive?
I can go and have my own little life in the countryside, and I can make corn and fucking shit. It's
I
like,
have a feeling
no,
she's
no,
still
no, no, no.
gonna die. She's gonna have a seriously
Just kill
awful
him.
death by
You know,
Homelander when he finds
I,
her.
hopefully, yeah.
I'm
She
with
was-
Erika.
Hopefully.
I just, if you're gonna fake your death, just fuck, you deserve to die in a really bad way. So,
Well, there goes my plans to fake my death.
yeah, right.
Dang it.
But yeah, no, I don't like that whole thing of when someone's get
Bless you.
exploded and then they just come in with a black eye and they're like, oh, I got away with a scratch. It's like, you got obliterated.
You should have lost a few limbs.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So
It's nice because you get to develop a core group that you actually like really like, but then when those kind of scenes kind of lose a little bit of impact when they just
Yeah.
kind of walk away unscathed or
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
come
look
back
at what
the next
happened with
episode with a new
Kimiko when
heart.
she got blasted by that radiation ray the first time, and she immediately suffered immense injury, and it took her forever to heal.
And then when they're kidnapped too, and then the dude's like standing over and like punching her
she
in
should
the
have died
like, in
right
the
then
wound.
and there.
Like,
Yeah.
like I thought they were gonna do it. Like that, like was like, okay, that this is
I
where
would
she
have been
goes.
so upset. She's
Yeah,
it
my
would have been
favorite
yeah,
character.
no, it would have been a bummer. It would have been a bummer. It's weird. I guess in the comics she's the female,
Yeah.
and that's just
She doesn't actually have a name.
it's just I don't like that as a name.
Yeah, and I'm glad they actually gave her a name.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But that's that's been us all over the place on season 3. Is there anything else that's really burned on anyone's mind?
I think I got everything out of my system.
I think I'm sorry, as I just say that myself, because there's something that we were talking about. We're talking about Annie, and her moment, and she not as exciting as we wanted it to be. But Dan, you say that maybe it's a glimpse of what her powers could be. I'm curious because she's very much like doesn't want her. She's like over her powers and like in the mindset we've seen her in. Right. I want to know into season 4, is she going to be the poster child for reform, for like super reform, and is she going to actually be leaning more into like
Politics?
Well, not politics, but I mean, she was using her platform. She was going live on TikTok or whatever.
That
and
was awesome.
The Instagram
At
live.
the elevator, she's like, "Say hello to my some odd followers." He's like,
oh, we were reading
"You're
lines.
supposed to record when we're running lines."
Yeah,
that was a great moment.
I'm just curious, like if she then is going to try to take a foot off the pedal, with her powers and try to be more into she's going to be forced out of it, obviously, but I feel like she's going to try her best to not be a superhero because she's done with the 7, but like also to not, she just wants to be Annie, I think.
Yeah, she threw away her suit.
That was fun.
For more costume.
So
maybe.
I think it's going to be a case of that she's going to want to not use her powers, but there's going to become the ultimate fight where she's going to have to do it.
That's a good. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
And when will we see Giancarlo Esposito again? Because I love him, and I'm sad that he got taken away for political reasons. But how is he going to weasel himself back into the situation?
Maybe
or is he done?
Homelander goes to him for help when he realizes he can't control everything.
Yeah. I mean, there was a great scene where Stan Edgar is taken away, and Homelander has to step up, and he's like in a board meeting, and they're like asking him questions about. So, what do you think about? I can't even remember the example, but and he's just like, I don't know. It's very clear he's not qualified to be in that situation, and then naturally lashes out at a woman who challenged his knowledge in the situation. And so hopefully
kicks her out, but not the other guy. I was like, I hate you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, classic.
I mean, he obviously has something really big going on because Homelander could just take him out. So why doesn't he just take him out?
He probably has answers to questions that he's gonna have to answer.
Since when did Homelander give a shit? He's just like, fuck you. It's like
he has a son.
it seems weird that he's like not a soup, and then he's just getting away with talking to Homelander like shit and being like, you know, it's like, why don't you just kill him? Why are you tolerating his bullshit?
There's
Type
got to
thing.
be
So
something we
I'm
don't know.
thinking there's something that's like he's like the original soup, like he's the super, like he's a natural born soup, like he hasn't got V or anything like that. So he's like
That would be cool.
exactly, because he's got to have some power. He can't just be
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm some old guy in a tower and people are going to listen to me. He like talks to Homelander like shit. Who else in that show has said things like that to Homelander and lived?
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's something
That's
to
a good theory.
definitely be curious
Yeah.
about into season 4. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you, Maria.
So ready. That was great.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Erika.
Yeah.
I feel like that should be a wrap on our season 3 spoiler cast. And,
Woo.
That was
unless
fun.
Mhm.
anybody else, anything
Thanks
else to say
for
on it?
tolerating my absolute chaotic ADHD brain. I
I'm
appreciate
hoping
it.
Anything of
there's
any
just-
like favorite scenes from the season that we haven't already
Ooh.
dived
Ooh.
into?
I think I kind of already talked about it. I really loved the dance sequence. I thought that was just. I really loved that. There's just something about that.
loved
It's just so
the-
wholesome.
The fight between like Homelander and the Soldier Boy and Butcher when they were just all going at each
I
other.
think I was gonna say
That
that was
was
one of my favorite
awesome.
parts
Yeah.
too.
There's Homelander's face when he like punches Butcher or does something to him, and he just kind of gets right back up, and he's like, "What? How are you doing that?"
Yeah.
That's
And
a
when
good show.
he's bleeding for like the first time, I think it was Maeve that was hitting him, and he started bleeding, and he's like, "Oh, absolutely not!" Takes out her eye.
Mhm.
But I think you're right.
Oh.
Like that's one of my favorite
Like,
scenes
ooh.
was that intensity of, oh my gosh, are they actually gonna kill him?
Yeah.
That feeling was just
When they had
so
him on the
well done.
floor and he was just like, do it. It's
Yep.
like, yeah.
With naked Huey on the side.
This
Everyone
What was
season,
it?
I
appreciates
think,
Naked Huey.
did
Oh, it's great.
better at superhero fights in general. I think they were in 2. They weren't necessarily my favorite. Something that wasn't necessarily a fight, but stands out to me is A-Train running with, I think the character
Yeah.
Blue Hawk. You know,
Oh, that made me
He's
so
very
racist.
happy.
Yeah, and that's what causes him to have a heart failure and have to have that replaced. But
I was so pissed. He got that other. I don't think he actually got the other guy's heart. I think they're just telling him that because there's no way that was a viable heart.
that's possible.
I love that
I
scene.
don't
I love
know.
that death though, because that's straight up out of Mortal Kombat, like Cabal
Yeah,
from Mortal Kombat has a
yes.
fatality like that where he
Yeah.
runs real fast and it grinds the person down to nothing.
Oh,
And that whole thing was crazy, and like A-Train's just ruining every relationship by trying.
Yeah, he's an idiot anyway.
Such an idiot.
He did have that nice moment where he deeply apologized to Huey.
I was waiting for the moment where he was like, "Oh, just kidding," and like hits him or something.
Snike.
I was waiting for him to be like, "Haha,
Yeah.
JK."
in the middle of an orgy of all places too.
In the middle of an orgy.
Wholesomeness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Gotta love it.
Awesome.
All right,
It's the best
everybody.
place.
That's Deadpan spoiler cast on The Boys season 3. Thank you
Our
so
first-
much.
The spoiler cast.
Our first spoiler
Woo!
cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
I'm watching Resident Evil now.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go
Um,
watch that tonight.
Any plugs that
show.
we want to talk about? Who are we? Where can we be found?
We are
Um,
Deadpan.
everywhere.
Check us out
No,
on Twitch.
personal ones.
Oh,
That's the ones.
For you folks, what are your handles?
I am Erika Onduin everywhere. You can find me. I'm on Roll D5, which is a TTRPG channel,
Yes.
and I'm here. And I do all sorts of writing. Just follow my social medias, and you can see everything I do there. I post a lot.
Maria,
Um,
send us off.
I am Pocket Ninja 85 on Twitter, Pocket Ninja 1985 on Instagram, but I don't use that shit. But yeah, pretty much type in Pocket Ninja 85 and you'll find me, and chat with me. I'm fun, kind of, somewhat.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Fun you
Middle of
are,
the
Maria.
day.
Thank you.
All your hot
Dan,
takes.
Dan the man. Where are you
I
at?
am the Stark Evil Vash on pretty much every platform in some version of those letters in some order, be it Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, all of those things. That's where you can find me. Also on YouTube and Twitch, Stark Evil Vash. All of them.
Thank you, Dan. I am Patrick, and I am PSUT on everything. Thank you so much. And yeah, be sure to catch us on Twitch, catch us on YouTube, catch us on all the social medias.
Yeah.
Love you lots. Dan, producer Dan, send us home.
Stay excellent.
Bye.
Right?
Stay.
Excelsior.
Excelsior.
Yeah. Good night.